Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today we're going to discuss the best light cones to build in Honkai Star Rail. For question of the day, let me know which character has been your favorite that you have pulled so far for your account. For me, it would definitely be Ruan Mei because of all the buffs that she can give for team comps, and also I think her animations are really pretty, so I would probably go with Ruan Mei personally. Also, if you do enjoy videos like these, do make sure to subscribe to win your next 50/50, hit the like button to support the video, and before we get into today's video, I wanted to say thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. It's time to break up with your current browser and welcome Opera GX. Opera GX comes with a bunch of customization, especially with the mods in the GX store. You'll be able to change how your browser looks with these mods, change the sounds you hear when you type and open and close tabs, and much more. They even have Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact theme mods featuring your favorite characters, as well as animated backgrounds. As for other features, Opera GX has AI integration for ChatGPT and ChatSonic, which you can use to summarize an article, ask questions about your favorite characters, and much more. You can also multitask easier when you want to watch videos as well as work on other things by using the video pop-out feature. One reason I really like this feature is because it makes it easier to watch YouTube videos or anime and also play games at the same time. The best part is when you do switch to Opera GX, you can easily import all of your previous bookmarks, browsing history, and so on to make the switch very easy, and you can even use your previous Google Chrome extensions that you may have had installed. So honestly, it's time to make the switch to Opera GX, and you can download Opera directly from the link in my description down below or my pinned comment. And now, let's carry on with today's video. Just as a quick note, I wanted to mention I will not be including the premium limited banner 5-star light cones in this video, as honestly I would recommend building any of these if you do get them. But if you guys want a video going over which ones you should consider pulling for, I can definitely make that in the future. Let's start off today's recommendations though with Hunt light cones. Our first light cone I'd recommend building would be Cruising in the Stellar Sea. This light cone is a free-to-play light cone that you can acquire from the Herta shop, and this light cone is a great option for your Hunt DPS characters, as it'll provide 16% crit rate, an additional 16% crit rate against enemies with HP less than or equal to 50%, which now means 32% crit rate total, and whenever you defeat enemies, you'll also get a 40% attack increase for 2 turns at max super imposition. You can use this light cone as a nice free-to-play option for your Dr. Ratio, March 7th, Topaz and Numby, Zila, and so on. The only issue at that point is your Hunt characters are going to have to fight over who gets this light cone for the day, which is why we have more Hunt options. Swordplay is a 4-star light cone that increases the damage of the wearer the more they attack the same target, which is up to 5 stacks. This is a great option for your Hunt characters who will target the same enemy multiple times, such as Topaz and Numby. Topaz will primarily focus on the enemy inflicted with Proof of Debt, and Numby will also follow up attack that enemy as well. Overall, Topaz will easily be able to get the maximum stacks from this light cone, and another example can be a character such as Sushong. With high uptime of this light cone, assuming she targets the same target multiple times, this light cone will perform nicely on her, plus she's on the light cone too, which is pretty cool. Yang Qing can also take advantage of this swordplay light cone as well. 2 more options I would recommend would be Only Silence Remains and Final Victor as an alternative option for a character like Topaz if you're lacking other options, as Topaz will be able to take advantage of the crit damage granted by the good fortune stacks from the light cone thanks to our cute little friend Numby. As for Only Silence Remains, it gives a nice attack increase, but is a bit more situational, as you'll want 2 or less enemies on the field to benefit from the crit rate bonus. Assuming there are 2 or less enemies on the field though, the crit rate will be great to have a higher crit ratio on your Hunt characters, as a lot of our Hunt characters highly value high crit rate to crit damage ratios. Overall, there's pretty nice free options and 4-star options that you can use on your Hunt characters if you don't have those premium light cones. As for our next set of light cones, let's go over Destruction light cones. One of the best Destruction light cones you can invest into would be On the Fall of an Aeon, which is a free light cone from the Herta shop that can give a character up to 64% additional attack by attacking enemies, as well as provide a 24% damage increase after breaking an enemy for 2 turns. The attack and damage increase can be beneficial for numerous Destruction characters, such as Jing Liu, Dan Hong Ayel, Shui Yi, Yun Li, Misha, and so on. Firefly can highly benefit from Aeon as well due to the good base attack of this light cone, as well as the additional attack gained in battle, as Firefly's Trace Core Overload increases her break effect by the amount of attack she has, which will highly benefit her damage output as a break-centric character because of the high amount of break effect she can reach with the help of teammates as well as her Trace Core Overload. Another destruction light cone I would recommend would be a Secret Vow, especially for Blade users who don't have his signature light cone. A Secret Vow will increase the wearer's damage dealt as well as further increase the damage dealt when the HP percentage of the wearer is lower than the enemy. Since Blade lowers his own HP with the skill kit and wants to take damage to get more stacks to unleash his follow-up attacks, Blade will be able to take advantage of a Secret Vow since his HP can get on the lower end from his skill kit, which can allow him to get the maximum damage increase from this light cone. Another light cone option I would recommend would be Under the Blue Sky. Under the Blue Sky could be a nice option for your crit-based destruction class characters. For example, let's say Firefly is keeping on the Fall of an Aeon as her prized possession. You can use Under the Blue Sky as a nice alternative for your other destruction characters. For example, Dan Hong-il, Yun Li, Clara, and so on. Under the Blue Sky is able to increase the wearer's attack as well as further increase the crit rate of the wearer after defeating an enemy for 3 turns. The additional crit rate can be beneficial to land more consistent critical hits, especially if you don't have the best relic luck on your character builds. As an example as to why this is really beneficial, since characters like Dan Hong-il has attacks that are multi-hitting, and also Yunli's enhanced ultimate Intuit Cole has additional hits. So you want to ensure that majority of these hits are critical hits, as this will highly benefit your damage output and consistency with your characters that deal multiple hits when they are attacking enemies. You can also consider something irreplaceable for a character like Clara. Clara will be able to have increased attack, restore her HP whenever an enemy is defeated or is hit, which assists with her sustainability as a character who wants to be hit often, and her damage will also increase until the end of her next turn, which makes this a pretty nice option for her. Overall, there are pretty nice destruction options you can use, but definitely make sure to build on the Fall of an Aeon if you don't have many of the premium destruction light cones. Next up, we have Erudition light cones. For Erudition light cones, there is quite a lot of variety with what options you can use on your characters. Some great options would be Genius's Repose, Eternal Calculus, Night on the Milky Way, The Day the Cosmos Fell, Today's Another Peaceful Day, The Seriousness of Breakfast, and so on. Night on the Milky Way is able to increase the wearer's attack depending on how many enemies are on the field, and when an enemy is weakness broken, the wearer's damage will also increase for 1 turn. This light cone is great in modes like Pure Fiction, as you'll be able to have high uptime on the attack stats as well as get the damage increase often by how many opportunities you will have to weakness break an enemy. You can use this light cone on Himiko, Herta, Jade, and so on. Today is Another Peaceful Day is able to increase the wearer's damage based on their maximum energy. This is a nice light cone for a consistent damage increase throughout the entire fight in characters with higher ultimate costs. For example, Argenti with a maximum energy cost of 180, Jade and Xingshui's 140 energy costs, and so on. As for Genius's Repose, it will increase the wearer's attack and can increase the wearer's crit damage after defeating an enemy for 3 turns. Which with super impositions, this can be 48% additional crit damage, and this is nice for increasing your crit damage on your characters if you are lacking crit damage stats on them. Some examples of characters who can appreciate this light cone can be, for example, Himiko, Herta, Jingyuin, and much more. As for Eternal Calculus, this is a free-to-play light cone that will increase the wearer's attack, and after unleashing an attack, your character's attack will additionally increase depending on how many enemies were hit, and this will last until the character's next turn. And if 3 or more enemies are hit, then the wearer's speed will also increase for 1 turn. This is another light cone that is great for modes like Pure Fiction, where you'll be fighting a bunch of enemies on field, which can assist with getting all the stacks for the maximum attack increases for this light cone. The Day the Cosmos Fell is another free-to-play light cone that increases the wearer's attack, and whenever the wearer attacks 2 enemies or more that are weak to the wearer's element, the wearer's crit damage will increase for 2 turns as well. This light cone is great for easy access to more attack as well as crit damage as long as the enemies you are facing are weak to the element of your Erudition character. For example, 2 or more enemies being fire weak, Himiko can easily get the crit damage boost. The last recommendation would be seriousness at breakfast. I would personally recommend taking a look at the other Lycones a bit more, but this Lycone is still a nice free-to-play option that can increase the wearer's damage and can also increase the wearer's attack for every enemy defeated up to 3 stacks. For pure fiction purposes, if you don't have Night on the Milky Way or Genius's Repose, I would highly recommend looking at Eternal Calculus as a good free-to-play option that you can max out when it comes to the superimpositions of this Lycone. And honestly, I just realized there's a lot of Erudition Lycones that are pretty good, and a lot of free-to-play options that you can definitely consider. Next up though, we have our Nihility Lycones. For our first recommendation, it would be Good Night and Sleep Well. Good Night and Sleep Well will increase the damage dealt by the wearer for each debuff the enemy has up to 3 stacks. This Lycone is a great alternative Lycone option for Acheron, Kafka, Welt, and much more. Resolution shines as pearls of sweat allows the wearer to have a chance to inflict Ensnared onto an enemy whenever they attack the enemy, and ensnared enemies will have their defense lowered for 1 turn. This is a great option to reduce enemy defenses, which is very powerful for being able to deal more damage to enemies. For a quick example, Pela can highly take advantage of this Lycone to further reduce enemy defenses even further, on top of Pela being able to reduce enemy defenses with her ultimate and using her technique before the battle begins. Another example can be Silverwolf, as she can take advantage of this Lycone as well for further reducing enemy defenses. As for additional Lycones you can consider, Eyes of the Prey will increase the wearer's effect hit rate and damage over time. This Lycone is a great option for damage over time centric characters who highly appreciate more effect hit rate and DOT, such as Black Swan, Sampo, Gwennyfin, and so on. Now for our free Nihility Lycones, Solitary Healing at maximum superimpositions is able to increase the wearer's break effect by 40%, and when the wearer unleashes their ultimate, their DOT will be increased by 48% for 2 turns. Additionally, defeating an enemy that is suffering from the wearer's DOT will allow the wearer to also regenerate 6 additional energy. This Lycone is a nice free-to-play option for characters that can benefit from break effect and are damage over time centric. One example can be Luca. The other free-to-play options would be for Mata, Showtime, and before the tutorial mission begins. Unfortunately though, we haven't been able to get before the tutorial mission begins after the event has already passed, but if you do have this option, it's very nice for characters such as Silverwolf, Pela, and so on. Showtime is a nice free-to-play Lycone for increasing the wearer's damage and attack with the right condition, and this can work nicely on characters such as Black Swan and Sampo if you don't have these Lycones or already have these Lycones equipped on other characters. Lastly, Fermata increases the break effect dealt by the wearer and increases the wearer's damage dealt to enemies inflicted with Shock or Wind Shear. I would personally recommend this Lycone if you do not have options like Patience is All You Need, Good Night Sleep Well, or Eyes of the Prey available for Kafka. Overall, there are a bunch of Nihility Lycones you can consider investing into depending on what characters are on your account, and if you do have a copy of Good Night Sleep Well, I would highly recommend building this Lycone for sure. Now we have Harmony Lycones. For our Harmony Lycones, I have to recommend Dance Dance Dance, Meshing Cogs, Memories of the Past But the Battle Isn't Over, Past and Future, and For Tomorrow's Journey. Dance 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 is one of my favorite Harmony Lycones as it'll allow the wearer to advance the team forward after using their ultimate. This is a great way to have your team act sooner and can be very useful for attempting to clear endgame modes, such as Memory of Chaos for example, in a shorter amount of cycles, which can help you achieve the maximum amount of rewards for this game mode. Great characters you can equip Dance 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 on would be Tingyun, Asa, and so on. As for Meshing Cogs, this is a 3-star Lycone and is a great option to regenerate more energy for the wearer as they will gain additional energy from attacking or being hit from an enemy. This is useful for getting your ultimate sooner on your Harmony characters and can allow you to have a higher uptime on your ultimate's buffs. Similar to Meshing Cogs, we also have Memories of the Past, which will regenerate more energy for the wearer whenever they attack, as well as provide up to 56 additional break effect for the wearer and max superimpositions. This Lycone is an excellent option for Ruan Mei and Harmony Trailblazer if you do not have Ruan Mei's signature Lycone, as I heavily appreciate the break effect from the Lycone and the energy is nice as well. But the Battle Isn't Over is able to provide additional energy regeneration for the wearer, which can help with getting your ultimate sooner, as well as regenerate a skill point whenever they use their ultimate on an ally, and this can be triggered after every 2 uses of an ultimate from the wearer, which is essentially every other ultimate used. Plus, whenever the wearer uses their skill, the next ally taking action will also deal more damage for 1 turn. This Lycone is great for Bronya and Sparkle, as they will be able to take advantage of the Lycone's condition of the next ally taking action will have increased damage, as they are both able to advance forward an ally with their skill, and the energy regeneration is nice as well. The additional skill points from the Lycone is also very nice for Bronya, as she will consume skill points frequently if you are primarily using her skill. For example, in the case of a Bronya build where she's 1 speed or more slower than your main damage dealer. A budget option of this Lycone would be Past and Future, primarily as it has the same damage increase condition as But the Battle Isn't Over, but this Lycone does not have the additional benefits as the battle isn't over, so it makes it more so a budget option. For Tomorrow's Journey is a free-to-play Lycone that will increase the wearer's attack and is able to increase the damage the wearer deals whenever they use their ultimate for 1 turn. This Lycone is an excellent option for Robin if you did not pull her signature Lycone. There are a bunch of really nice Harmony Lycones that you can consider building for your characters, and it'll mainly come down to which Harmony support you are using for the best choice. Now we have Preservation Lycones. I would recommend Moment of Victory, Landau's Choice, Concept for 2, Destiny's Threads, Texture of Memories, Day 1 of My New Life, and Trend of Universal Market, and these recommendations will depend on which preservation character you are using. For Moment of Victory, this is a great Lycone to increase the defense of the wearer holding this Lycone, increasing their effect hit rate, and also increasing the likelihood of them being hit. I would recommend this Lycone on Aventurine if you do not have a signature Lycone, Japard, March 7th, Fire MC, Fu Xuan, and so basically every preservation character can make use of this Lycone, as it will increase their survivability because of how much additional defense they will get, plus characters like Aventurine ideally want to be hit as much as possible to get more blind bet points for his follow-up attack. If you don't have this Lycone though, Concept for 2 and Destiny's Threads are additional options you can consider on Aventurine. This Concept for 2 can assist with reaching the 4,000 defense threshold Aventurine wants to reach, as well as increase his damage output for every character on field that has a shield. Destiny's Threads will give more effect resistance to the wearer, but also increase their damage output depending on how much defense they have. This is a nice free-to-play option if you don't have Aventurine's signature or Moment of Victory. As for Landau's Choice, this increases the likelihood of the wearer being hit, but reduces the damage they take. You can consider this on Japard, Aventurine, Fu Xuan, and so on. As for Texture and Memories, this is a nice free-to-play Lycone, especially for a character like Fu Xuan. Texture and Memories increases the wearer's effect resistance and allows the wearer to gain a shield based on their max HP if they do not have a shield and are attacked, which will last for 2 turns and can be triggered every 3 turns. And if the wearer is attacked while having a shield, it'll reduce the damage the wearer takes. This Lycone is a very nice defensive option for Fu Xuan, as it can help with broken kill requirements if you use that planar set, and since Fu Xuan ideally wants a lot of HP, the shield she will get from this Lycone will be a good amount. Lastly, we have Day 1 of My New Life and Trend of Universal Market. Day 1 of My New Life is able to provide more defense for the wearer and also increase the damage res of all allies, which assists with their survivability. You can use this Lycone on Japard, Aventurine, Fu Xuan, March, and Fire MC if you do not have majority of the other options listed prior to this Lycone. As for Trend of Universal Market, this Lycone will grant the wearer more defense, and also there will be a base chance to inflict burn onto an enemy whenever the wearer is hit. I would recommend this Lycone if you're using a preservation unit on a team with Acheron, as this will assist you with getting more stacks for her ultimate. You can also consider this Lycone for damage over time teams depending on the team if you wish to have burn inflicted onto the enemy as well, but I would primarily recommend this Lycone the most for Acheron teams. Overall, there are quite a few options you can use on your preservation units, and now let's go over the last path of today's video, which are abundance Lycones. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if you have made it this far into the video, think the comment, like the hidden comment that no one will understand unless they made it this far. Let's go with glazed donuts. I'm just in a glazed donut mood, I guess. So let's go with glazed donuts. And now let's go over those abundance Lycones. I would recommend multiplication, quid pro quo, shared feeling, time waits for no one, and post stop. Multiplication is a 3-star Lycone that will advance forward the wearer's next action whenever they use a basic attack. This is a nice option to enable your abundance character to act more frequently, especially for those that use basic attacks often, such as Gallagher and Lawocha. As for quid pro quo, this is one of my top free-to-play recommendation, as it can assist with regenerating energy for allies throughout a fight, and as a result, this can assist with getting your ultimate sooner as well, and this is really nice to equip on one of your abundance characters who try to give more energy to characters who have high maximum energy costs, such as Yun Li, Argenti, Robin, and so on. Using quid pro quo on an abundance character who can act often will result in quite a lot of energy being restored for allies. As for shared feeling, this light cone will increase the outgoing healing of a wearer and also regenerate energy for all allies whenever the wearer uses their skill. I would recommend this light cone for abundance characters who use their skill often. One example can be Huahua. Time Waits for No One is great for the additional HP it will grant the wearer and the outgoing healing, which makes this light cone a very nice option for your HP-based healers to provide more healing for the team. Some examples can be Bailu, Lynx, Natasha, and so on. Lastly, we have Post-Op. This light cone will be able to provide the wearer additional energy regeneration, which will help with more ultimate usage and also the outgoing healing of the wearer's ultimate. As a quick thing I wanted to mention though, for those wondering about the what is real light cone, this light cone is nice for abundance characters who value break effect, which one of them would be Gallagher. This light cone also provides additional survivability for the wearer, but it does not really provide team support, which is why I would personally recommend quid pro quo more for the team support that it will provide as your free-to-play light cone option, but you can still use what is real if you do want more break effects on your Gallagher. And that'll be all for light cones I recommend building in Honkai Star Rail outside of the premium limited banner 5-star options, as most options listed here were either 4 stars free-to-play light cones or the standard 5-star light cones. Let me know what light cones you guys recommend building on what characters or just building in general, and let me know which characters you guys have also been building recently in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy this video, feel free to subscribe to see more Star Rail content from me, leave a like to support the video, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace.